Hi all, I thought I'd talk about PHSE and its inadequacy and the reality of the situation that our children are facing, our teachers are facing, our schools are facing, our communities are facing. Now, PHSE targets certain issues within the community, just say CSE, child sexual exploitation, healthy living, could be reducing knife crime, reducing violence, internet safety, so on and so forth. Okay, now I'm all for PHSE. However, if we use these PHSE targeted, let's call them interventions. Let's call them interventions. If we're using these interventions, we've got to start measuring their efficiency. Now, if PHSE is a curricular-based education that starts from year 5, year 4 in primary school to 6th form, then you could say with all the elements, a community element, a community leader element, a lived experience element, a best practice element, a trauma-informed element, a social learning element, a public health approach. If we had that, and that was a repeated, evolving curriculum that adapted to reflect the issues in the community, then me as someone that has a passion of reducing any form of harm, whether that's criminality, whether that's acquisitive offending, whether that's reducing youth violence, whether that's reducing exploitation, whether that's reducing any form of harm, whether that's empowering through education, training, or opportunity. That's what we've stood for. You know, our motto was only together can we build a better community. I stand by that. And there's many people that are very, you know, have those same ideals. But again, pulling it back to the point, if we're only saying, okay, we've got a day covering knife crime, we've got a day covering internet safety, we've got a week here, a week there, a guest speaker here, a course there, is that truly enough for young people to retain adequate awareness, adequate knowledge, adequate understanding of the realities? It might work as a shock and awe, but is it enough if we put it on a scale and compare it with the sheer influence on the internet, or the sheer influence on social media platforms, or the sheer influence of peer network, or the sheer influence of a pro-crime culture, or the influence that teachers feel less empowered due to the fact that some students feel that because teachers are scared, not scared, but have been assaulted or put in situations where they've been put at harm, they're fearful of intervening when certain things go on in schools. Now we have a culture right about now, it's summer coming up, and you know, we've already started to see the knife angel coming out and things like that. And we've started to see PHSE coordinators pushing out on social media about let's not put explicit content in PHSE awareness curriculums. I mean, for me, with the most respect, that is absolutely hysterical. It's hypocritical. We can't say, okay, we're not going to show certain things of the real life impacts but we're going to go home and allow children to watch 12 rated things and 15 rated things that show a whole heap of explicit content. That in itself means whoever thought up that specific PHSE curriculum has no real understanding of the consequences serious violence causes or exploitation causes. I worked on modern day slavery, those kids getting kidnapped, past guns. I worked with other people that got hit in the middle of parks by a car and dragged around by their snapped leg. I worked with others that got machete attacked straight through their arm in front of a YMCA. I worked with others that have been chopped. I've worked with a whole heap of trauma. Yet the powers that be think it's helpful to put bolt-on curricular activities that airbrush real harm in the community. I say no. I say enough's enough. Teachers, students, parents, we all deserve better. Our kids are becoming victims of serious violence or victims of a murder. On the flip side, the perpetrators are becoming victims of a groomed, exploitative culture where aggression is held up and glorified. And so too, we lose another young child to a life sentence, who then is exposed to high levels of violence. We have a broken family. We have a ripple effect in the community. We have a more targeted response by police, which is warranted because of the serious violence. However, if there's no break in the education pattern that the kids are getting, there's no evolution in the education pattern that the kids are getting, how can we ever really hope for any meaningful, long-lasting change? Without public insight for the powers that be, how can the communities really get tailored change to support their specific needs? Without community investment that's just awarded, how can we hope that kids stay out of trouble when we've got parks that are exactly the same as it was when I was a child, and it probably was when my mother was a child? We're in a tech culture, yet we've got no new parks that have evolved over the years, making them a place where kids don't just want to, go and experiment, but they can go and engage and learn and have a safe environment and actually feel like, boom, we're going to the park today, this is great. And actually the council must love us because they've spent XYP on this park for us. And actually there's people, there's detached youth workers there going out pro-social modelling and with an education just like our service was. We can't keep blaming kids, parents and parts of communities and certain schools within pockets of communities. We can't do that. What we need to do is say, actually, you dictate how schools run and the funding and the community and the funding in the community. So you're setting the factors that the community thrives under or doesn't. So again, I call for change. I call for it now.